Have you ever procrastinated so much that it changed the direction of something that you had planned? On today's topic of crap, now what, we're going to talk about the impact of procrastination on your life as well as on your finances. If this is your first time joining me on Crap Now What, a podcast that is designed to take a slice of life, typically from the financial side of life, and discuss the emotions and implications of the choices that we made in a forum that really just comes straight from my heart and from opinions that I have to share to help to connect with you and share those ideas with you. These are my opinions only. You are more than welcome to continue to have that discussion with me on a one-on-one basis. But if you ever decide to implement or to do any other research, I encourage you to do so because, like I said, these are my opinions only, and some of the things that I share, you may want to talk to another financial resource, possibly an accountant or an attorney before you proceed. So let's get back down to the heart of Crap Now What. If this is the first time that you found me, like I said, I take a slice of life and go about it from the financial side because emotions and the decisions that we make as humans impact us on the financial side. If this isn't your first time and you're one of the hundreds of people that I've helped over the last years, especially to build a path of having less taxes that you pay in the future, I'm glad that you're back with me because you understand then the spirit of how we and why we do the things that we do, and why, even in particular, why it's so important to talk about procrastination when we talk about ways to lower our taxes. I am an untaxable wealth strategist. It's a very small niche in the financial services world. And it is something that does have a big impact and can have a big impact on future and helping you to enjoy more of the dollars that you have worked hard to earn. So that said, let's get ready to dive in. At the time of this recording, we are at the first part of December. Now, we typically drop a new episode on Monday, so that gets people with a fresh start to the week. This one is actually being recorded, like I said, the first part of December. We're just coming off of Black Friday. Tomorrow is Cyber Monday, and this is something that is very near and dear to people's hearts. It's the idea of gift giving, a busy season, as well as the fact that finances are very directly tied to this time of year. So the spirit of this podcast is talking about being informed versus being uninformed. I can't sit with you day in and day out, every minute of the day and help you make all of your decisions. But what I do as an untaxable wealth strategist is I help people make plans, like I said, to enjoy more parts of your money, but also when it comes to listening to this podcast, trying to help you to make a decision that helps you to pivot in the right direction. As always, you have the opportunity to reach out to me directly, and I encourage you to do so. Holidays. One would think that holiday procrastination would be one of the biggest levels of procrastination of any other time of the year, and I do believe that that is the case. However, when you look and talk to the experts and do research about procrastination, it is a very normal challenge, and even more so of a big challenge because procrastination has increased just as the level of spending time on social media has increased. 2 out of 5, that's 40%. Of Americans report that a part of their procrastination is directly tied to their use and viewing of social media, getting down that rabbit hole, just sitting back and relaxing and telling yourself you're going to only watch 5 videos. and then you're going to turn around and get started on cleaning the house. So as usual, when I get prepared for one of these episodes, I do some additional research into these areas to share with you things from a statistical standpoint to help you to see that you're not alone. There's a lot of people who can identify with these topics, and it is something that is very prevalent. So it still continues from many sources that procrastination is one of the greatest challenges that people face. It tends to be measured slightly more immediate. Immediate meaning the chores that we put off because we just don't feel like doing them. The exercise that we put off just because we're a little bit busier. And maybe doctor's appointments. Those are the top 3 things that people report. And this goes across from a number of different sources, a number of different research studies of what people are putting off. Chores, it's easy to put off because you can decide to do the extra dusting or the cleaning a little bit later. Leave it maybe until the night before when you have a holiday and you have people coming over. Exercise, it's easy to put off exercise for most Americans at the time of year where we're in now. It's darker longer. We're coming up on the darkest days. We're going to have about a 2-month period in here where it's now on the direction of getting darker over the next 3 weeks until we get really close to Christmas. We have the longest days out of the year in terms of darkness. And then we kind of come back out of it by minutes and minutes and minutes each day. So we have, in many cases this time of year, we're busier. It's darker out. It's colder. Many people were showing pictures on social media of snow. I've just in the last year kind of moved myself a little further south. Haven't seen any snowflakes yet, but I'm still experiencing how much darker it is outside and how much colder it is outside as well. So the most procrastinated items are chores, exercise, and doctor's appointments. But we're busier now. And so human nature comes into play. I talk to my team about this every day. I start this usually in fall. By about September, when we're actually really just starting to look at fall, and this being the last few months of the year, I start talking to the team about the impact of these last few months. Because if people don't start doing things in September or October, the closer we get to Thanksgiving, the closer we get to Christmas, the less likely people are to start making financial decisions at this time and actually taking the time to move forward on financial choices and making a difference in the financial portfolio. The more likely that's going to get pushed to the first of the year. And what I'm going to say is that that's a shame. It's a real shame that as humans, that's what we do. It's a shame that we procrastinate that much, that it can impact our finances so much. I get it that we're busier. Shoot, that happened to me even this last weekend with Thanksgiving and having people coming to me. For those of you who still may not be familiar, but I have a recovery period going on after rather dramatically causing myself a back injury. But what that does is that it changed my life. And so I'm very near and dear to this subject of the idea of procrastination, what it does to people and how it impacts when something happens in your life that you don't expect to have happen, and it causes repercussions everywhere. And it's natural, though, for people to procrastinate. It's natural to put things off. It's natural to wait to do the cleaning until the night before the company comes. It's natural to do those things, and it's very normal. And that's how we are as human beings. But as I came out of the gate tonight, as we're recording it this episode this evening, and at the top of the episode, I came into this with the point of Have you ever done and procrastinated something so much that it made an impact on your life that was pivotal? Yes, I would come out there and say, waiting to do the chores, even if you had the most life changing event and you hadn't done all of your chores, that's going to have a minimum impact. Putting off a doctor's appointment could actually have a medium to high impact depending on how important that doctor's appointment is. Putting off financial decisions, as I said, is pretty normal. Most everybody I'll be talking to in the next few weeks is going to be trying to put everything off until after Christmas and after the holiday. And I'm going to tell you that the things that I help people with and how I help people to have the opportunity to have more of their dollars that they can enjoy while they're alive, whether it's now or even in their retirement, it all depends. Those decisions and the opportunities that are available to people to shift their financial portfolio in a way that there is more to enjoy requires taking advantage of opportunity. Taking advantage of opportunity and taking advantage of time. Taking advantage of and utilizing time on your side to have compounding interest that grows. I dove deeper into this idea of procrastination and went specific into financials. And one of the most succinct definitions of financial procrastination that I came upon came from America Sales, which was kind of an interesting resource. And I did a little research just even on them. They were talking about, like I said, procrastinating on financials. So if we take a little bit deeper dive into procrastination and be a little bit more specific when it comes to money and finances, because as I mentioned, when it comes to talking about money and finances and procrastination, the things that I help people with require the use of jumping on an opportunity and taking advantage of compounding interest. The things that people tend to procrastinate the most on are setting up a family budget, planning for retirement. I talk about planning for retirement every time I record another episode of this podcast. Setting aside an emergency fund, managing debt. So let's step back from those again and how important they are. Because if you have a crap now what moment and you have maybe been lax in setting a family budget, a crap now what moment that is expensive, I think a lot of people would say that a crap now what moment where you suddenly have a financial expense that you did not prepare for. We've had several things that we featured in previous episodes. The need for closing cost money when a person is moving, the need for an emergency fund for medical expenses that were not expected, the need for perhaps because something happened in the family and having to be able to have cash on hand, the need to have money for a budget so that we don't get into credit card challenges or how to get out of credit card challenges. These 4 areas, budget, retirement planning, an emergency fund, managing debt, at least 3 out of 4 are very relevant as we go into the holidays and we've started to do our shopping for the people that we love, started to plan our travel for holidays, starting to plan for company over the holidays. 3 out of 4 of those, if we don't have our financial ducks in a row when it comes to budget, when it comes to emergency funds, and when it comes to managing debt, those areas can not only be a problem if they're still procrastinated upon, but this is a key time of the year when the budget and all those things can be blown just out of the water. That's why procrastination can be very impactful during the holidays. Let's go a little bit deeper into this because, as I said, I'm going to be talking to you about the idea of opportunity and putting off opportunities. According to this resource that I mentioned, this americasales.com, they drilled it down even further along the lines of what I am sharing with you. The idea that in the holidays, there are also financial mistakes that happen. The top 5, according to this source, and a number of other sources as I was doing my research, the top 5 holiday mistakes are, and these pair well with what I've been saying, going into the holidays without a budget, not knowing and planning how much is going to be available for gifts, how much is going to be able to help cover travel costs, etc., can really cause a problem with your budget. Volunteering, I found this one to be very interesting. Volunteering your home, your food, or your car for others. There are inherent expenses in doing this. There's also inherent stressors that happen by having more people in your home, by having to prepare more food, by having your vehicle more available for maybe possibly having people to be, carpooling or picking up people at the airport, etc. Shopping too much at the last minute. If you've done it, and almost all of us have done it at one time, waiting until the last minute to get a few more things done on the shopping can be more expensive because maybe we're making an extra trip out, maybe we're paying for extra shipping costs, maybe we're paying more for the gifts in the first place because we waited too long to be able to get that shopping done. Relying on the credit cards. This weaves its way right back in there again, the idea of procrastinating and how the credit cards can really be overused. And the idea of keeping up with others. I don't know right now, I don't have younger children that I would know if there's a trendy toy out there anymore, but it has been that way over the years. I grew up in the years where Precious Moments, this and that, Cabbage Patch Dolls, this and that, the latest, Tickle Me Elmo. I remember seeing that be something when my children were young, that there was something that was very desirable on lower quantities or controlled quantities that made it available. I do believe maybe the use of online shopping has changed that a little bit, but those types of very sought out games, perhaps PlayStation games, etc. Like I said, I'm not the foremost knowledgeable in any of those subjects, but hopefully you get the picture that if something is where a demand has been created, that can be something that can be very expensive if we're trying to make sure that our child gets a special thing that every other child is going to come back to school and be talking about. So where am I taking you here? Other than the fact that I feel very strongly that procrastination is very much tied to our emotions, tied to, like I said, that it's darker and colder outside, tied to maybe our stressors already, if we already have financial pressure, that this is a very stressful time of year. It often can be so prevalent when it comes to financial decisions that we try to hit the brakes on everything that we have to do that isn't immediate and put it off until next year, but we're really just putting it off to be something else that becomes even bigger, because it's very true that it's not going to be long where the credit card bills are due in January, where other bills and other decisions become important at the beginning of the year. And then we start talking about doing our taxes. So things that could be decided in a shorter, more timely manner can have a greater impact than we can even imagine if we continue to kick the can down the road. And kicking the can down the road with your finances doesn't make the financial situation any better in the current period, but it doesn't help in the future. As I mentioned, if you are familiar with the idea of opportunity costs, if you're a business owner in particular, if you're someone who has to make a decision between, and I love this phrase, and I ran across this one as I was preparing for this episode. If you're someone who is faced with a decision between hunting for rabbits or gathering berries, think about that. Hunting for rabbits, something that's hopping down the road, or gathering berries. Which one are you? Which one's the best? Every situation is going to be a little bit different, but right now, what I'm challenging you with is the thought of, instead of looking at a decision in terms of do it now or do it later, or procrastinate between even deciding whether you're chasing a rabbit or gathering berries, there is an opportunity cost. The cost of making the decision whether to gather berries or chase a rabbit is the very same decision that you're making every day, between exercising, between doing your financial health planning, or even making bigger decisions. All come down to the idea of the opportunity cost. Opportunity costs weigh the potential benefits that are foregone if a decision is made in favor of a particular option or the alternatives. I can't make those decisions for you, but what I can do is encourage you, even in these darker, colder days of the year, the moments, we've got a shortened season this year, getting to Christmas. Yes, it's only 3 weeks away, not to hit the panic button, but most of you are going to wake up to that realization on the first Monday after the holiday, which is about the time when this is being recorded, but you're going to probably hear this, if you do, even one more week closer to Christmas 2024. So we have a narrower window between Thanksgiving to Christmas. We're going to be more likely to procrastinate. But what I'm going to encourage you to do, instead of procrastinating, or instead of putting yourself into pressure situations where you feel like you have to do everything, just keep going and make the best decisions you possibly can. Don't kick the can down the road, but also don't stress yourself out. Find that happy medium. Don't overpromise to others. Be realistic about your financial situation, and do everything you can to decrease the amount of stress that you have in your life. Do the best that you can to stay on top of things. So if you have surprises, it's not a financial crunch, nor an emotional or draining crunch. And enjoy what you have in front of you, because another form of procrastination is putting aside and putting off other things that are going on in your life, and you could miss something that's very important and something that is happening to one of your loved ones. And that's something else that's very important at this time of year. So what I want you to do, be as neutral as possible. Keep up on the things so that you're not kicking the can down the road, but also don't overstress yourself. And don't cause future stress by putting too many things off, but also don't spread yourself so thin that you're so stressed in the middle of everything as things are happening. Take advantage of every moment that you have, because this time of year, there are a lot of decisions that are being made. Perhaps you have to make decisions in your career, at work, as far as HR decisions. Perhaps you have to make decisions about changing your health care, whether that is through your employer or if you're self-employed. Healthcare decisions are also being made this time of year. Make sure to do those earlier rather than later in the period of decision making. You'll cause yourself less stress and you'll be getting it done. Know your other 2025 deadlines. Perhaps for some people, that's do you start a Roth? Other deadlines that you need to have as far as making sure that you have different paperwork or other things done so that you have and are prepared for having things that happen with taxes and you don't cause yourself extra expenses by missing your deadlines. If there's someone that's in that retirement mode, I don't often have a lot of people who catch this podcast that are in their 70s that are in that RMD stage, the required minimum distributions. If you happen to be catching this in one of our socials and you have parents, especially that are in their early 70s, and they might be in a period where they have to take required minimum distributions, if they're not familiar with what they have to do and it's something that you have in your radar to potentially help them, what happens with retirement accounts, if someone has hit that age of required minimum distributions, which right now is changing to age 70, that if a person has not started to take their distributions from a retirement accounts, then a portion will just be done. And because the government wants to eventually collect their taxes on that income that has not yet been realized, it does have to become a distribution. That's frustrating to a lot of retirees because now that distribution is being forced and is being taxed at ordinary income. So if you're someone or if you know someone that could be impacted with that, help make sure that the deadlines have been met so that this isn't another situation where it costs because of procrastination. Responsibilities and financial health. We've talked about that a little bit in this, and I've touched on it in this podcast over and over and over again as far as being careful with what you're doing with budgeting, being careful about how you're extending yourself during the holidays, and also challenging yourself to weather this time of year that's a little bit busier and has its own set of challenges, not to put financial health aside to the point that it causes extra expenses in 2025. And also remember that some of the best opportunities for financial health, financial growth also depend upon your personal health and staying on a course where you're taking advantage of how money earns, taking advantage of compound interest and how your money can grow, and how with the right decisions and taking advantage of the right opportunities, your money can grow and can grow for you more in a tax advantaged manner. If you like some of these ideas, I do really encourage you. I have several people, especially who already share my videos, share these ideas, and appreciate these reminders. And I thank you so much for that. Please continue to share these concepts. Make sure to reach out, ask for clarification. Sometimes I get so twisted with my thinking in terms of being clear what I'm trying to say to you, or I say it so many times over and over, it might be a little bit redundant. But if you'd like to have any kind of clarification as to what I'm talking about when I talk about opportunities that are tax advantaged with compound interest, make sure to reach out to myself or my team. You can go to my website at goblazingstar.com. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, anything that says Blazing Star. Look for Shaunelle. That is my first name. I am Shaunelle. I am an untaxable wealth strategist. I have a company that's based in Omaha, Nebraska. although I cover the entire country and do business with people in every state, including New York, including Hawaii. I extend out to extended families. I enjoy the opportunity to meet new people and help people to set themselves up on a better path, and who instinctively know that there are strategies out there that the wealthy have been using that can actually apply to you to save on taxes and enjoy more of your dollars. Thank you too to Caleb, who is from Sal Media, does an amazing job of getting these podcasts edited into also what you would find on any of the other social media platforms, into shorter versions of what I have to say and the ideas that I would love to share and the things that people hopefully are finding relevant. At least that's what I hear. And I thank you very much, and I look forward to bringing you more. Okay, so if you're still listening to this podcast at this stage, this is the boring stuff. This is the disclaimer. And I'm doing this because, yes, I do care about who you are and what you do with your money. And I'm going to be here to help give you some ideas. However, these are just ideas. They're theories. Sometimes these are ideas that are coming into my head based on what's going on in the world at this time. And they're not necessarily specific financial advice. I do encourage you, if you decide to do anything with your money, make any changes, seek the advice of a professional. You're welcome to follow up with me or with someone else, and make sure that what you're doing is something that fits with you, your lifestyle, your finances, and it's a strategy that's specific to you. Again, these are ideas and concepts. Do not necessarily take these as specific financial advice and follow it directly without having a full education.